Sorry. I had to blow the dust off. You know, I never fucking used this thing ever since I got it. Hey, what is up, my Gaming Legion and everybody else who's watching these videos? I'm your host today, Gaming Legion. You can call me Legion, you can call me Jacob, whichever you prefer. Welcome back. Xbox Game Pass. Piece of shit. Even my phone agrees with me. It just had a ding because it heard Xbox Game Pass, and oh my god, it's so shit. I am joking. Game Pass is objectively a cool thing. It is objectively a cool thing. You can't say that Game Pass is uncool. But I will say, personally, I don't fucking want Game Pass. Oh, this is coming day one to Game Pass. Oh, this is only like X amount of dollars for Game Pass. I don't fucking want Game Pass. Okay, actual serious now. Game Pass is fine. Game Pass is fine. I think it has its goods, but I also think that it has its negatives. And personally, the negatives are enough that I would not want to use Game Pass. And that's kind of what this video is going to be. Why don't I really vibe with Game Pass? Why is Game Pass not really the viable option for me as a gamer? I got a few points here that I'm going to talk about. Some of it I've mentioned before, like physical and digital. I've mentioned everything under the sun, not everything under the sun. I've mentioned a lot of shit about physical and digital in one of my old videos, or two of them actually, so if you want to go check those out, I'll throw them up in cards, description, whatever the fuck, you can go check it out on my channel. But moving on from that, I have even other reasons why I wouldn't do Game Pass, even over just regular digital, and why I wouldn't do something like Game Pass over even maybe PlayStation Plus. I don't do that, but like, I have a bit more of a tie to that if I had to choose, if I'm being honest. And the reason I say that is the first point here is I'm not really an Xbox guy. You can see I have Xboxes in the background, and that's mainly for the exclusives, because while yes, you can get most of the exclusives on fucking PC now, I still like to play on console, and if possible, I would like to play on semi-original hardware. I say semi because, like, I would rather play GameCube games on the Wii. I'd rather play PS4 games on the PS5. I'd rather play PS1 games on the fucking PS2. You get what I mean. Switch games on the Switch too. You get what I mean. But if I can, I would like to play a game on a console. That's just a personal thing for me. And if I'm being honest, don't really like Xbox all that much. Like, if it came down between is a game going to be on PS5 or Xbox, almost 9 times out of 10, I will get it on PS5. The only time I will be like, okay, I'll get it on Xbox is if there's like a heavily discounted version of it on Xbox. I would say at least 50% off. Or again, if it's exclusive to Xbox, like the old Gears of War, not including the remaster that's going to be coming out in August. All the old Halos, Fable, those kinds of ones. So like, yeah, I don't use Xbox. I legitimately, ever since I installed those, I don't think I turned them on once. It just is what it is. But I will say, when that Xbox LAX drops, depending on the price, I may have to get that shit. I may have to cop that shit. I don't have any PC handhelds, but that's kind of got a nice draw to it. The next reason why I don't really like Xbox Game Pass is it is a subscription model. I am not a huge fan of subscription models, especially when it comes to media. Movies, TV shows, gaming, music to an extent, but when it comes to stuff like that, I am not a fan of subscription models, not at all. First point I want to talk about with, you know, it being a subscription model is the price around it, Xbox Game Pass specifically. Now, the only way you can actually access the entire game library of Xbox Game Pass, you know, the real reason why most people get it outside of multiplayer connectivity. So for that standard edition, you can get it for about $11.99 if you get it on the PC, or in my case, I would be getting it on a console. It would be $14.99, $15 a month for all the games there. And now for the objectively better version, like even for the price, you get more with it, and it justifies the price a little bit more. Not enough for me, but it does it. You get what I mean, is the ultimate version for $19.99 a month. Sorry, I'm cutting in here. K-pop Demon Hunters, goated fucking movie. I just needed to say that. I need to gush. And that's $19.99 for all the game library. Any day ones that come in, it drops day one and you get it right there with the service. You get EA Play. I believe you get more deals as well. For the price, objectively the better version. If I was going to get any of them, it would have to be the ultimate version. There's no question about that. The only reason I would even see you really wanting to get the standard version is if you're not playing games as much, which why are you getting Game Pass then? But yeah, 20 bucks for that, and with Xbox raising prices and everything else, plus all the games that are going to be getting added this year, that price is likely to go up. How much? I don't know. Could be $2, could be $5. Hell, it could be $10. This is Microsoft. We don't know. They just bumped their consoles up 100, but we don't know. But it is very likely that the price will see some sort of increase by the end of 2025. So at least personally, I already don't want to pay $20 a month for the Ultimate version. I don't think buying it at a higher price would help. And on the next point here, I think I did talk about it in my physical and digital, but it is more prevalent here. Games getting taken away or dropped way more frequently and faster than just regular digital games. And if you can't, tie two knots together, that means you own this game way less than you do with a digital copy, which is way less than a game key card. I just needed to say that. Looking through the list of games that have been removed off of Game Pass, we've got a good amount of games that are kinda up there. We have The Walking Dead. The complete first season was only in for 2 years. Death Stranding came over, which I just played through the entire thing. Go check me out on stream, by the way. I just played through the entire thing on disc, but it was only in for 1 year. You also have the Yakuza games, which were in for less than 3 years. And then you have Rise of the Tomb Raider, the Like a Dragon games. You have Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Tactica, along with Soul Hackers 2, all in for only 1 year. You have Dragon Quest XI-S, which is only in for 2 years. Final Fantasy 13-2, only in for 1 year. Doom and Doom 2nd, 3.5 years. Battlefield 1943, 3 years. Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2 for 3 years. Civ 6 was only in for 1.5 years. The Danganronpa games, 1 year. One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, 1 year. You kind of get where I'm going. Like, obviously, this is a bit of a wide net. Not every single person who is a gamer and getting Game Pass is playing every single one of these games, or at least the types of these games. I mean, you have the Persona games that are JRPGs along with Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. You have Rise of the Tomb Raider, you have Death Stranding, Yakuza. They're all different genres of games. Most likely, most people who are buying this are not exactly playing every single one of those games. But it kind of goes to show with a lot of these third-party titles, they don't stay in for that long. But the real thing, and this is honestly my this is my stand. This is the last stand that I had. You know what? I thought about it many times. I thought I would get Game Pass. And then I looked to see, what games are in the service. I scroll down a little too far, and oh my god. I see it. I see some of the absolute most disrespectful, diabolical shit. My friend Peppa Pig is getting removed for the service at the end of the month. I have to keep myself composed. Sorry. I was coping a little too hard. I got the date wrong. It left about 3 days ago as of recording this video. June 18th. My rage is seething. It had a glorious 3 years. July 14th, 2022. They didn't even give it the full 3 years. But these are all games, at least personally, when I see this list, these are all games that I want to play. And as somebody who, even back when these games were in the service, didn't have all the time in the world to game, I would not have been able to beat all of these within the time that they were there. I may have been able to get a little bit in. I don't know. But basically, unless you're only gaming or you are trying to speed run this shit, I don't see you really getting through that many games in 1 year. Now, that's not to say that Microsoft exactly wants these titles gone. I'm sure they would love to keep Death Stranding, the Persona games, Doom. I'm sure they would love to keep these games in Game Pass. I mean, those are pulls for some people. Those are genre-defining pulls. But the licensing for these games probably went up, and either Microsoft just couldn't really justify licensing it, or the people didn't want to license it out to them anymore. I don't know. I don't know all the ins and outs behind that, but I believe it is a licensing problem why most of these games are not staying in the service. And here's the thing, even day one releases aren't impervious to this. MLB The Show 21 only lasted for 1 year. F1 21 was 1 year. FIFA 23 was 1.5 years. And yeah, those are sports games, so most, I guess, gamers don't really care about those. But let me give you some other ones. Hitman World of Assassination was only in for 3 years, one that just got a new DLC. It's still being updated to this day. Atomic Heart, 1 year. It actually just went up a few months ago, if I remember correctly, and we're getting Atomic Heart 2. I feel like it would actually be a good idea to keep Atomic Heart 1 in Game Pass, let people play it, and then it would drive people to get Atomic Heart 2. Again, that might be a licensing thing, so I'm not saying, oh, Xbox is the dumbass here, but whoever made that decision is kind of dumb. You also have stuff like Payday 3, Slime Rancher 2, Spider Heck, and You Suck at Parking, gone all within 2 years of when they first released. And again, you might not care about any of those games, you might not care about all of those games, but this happens across genres. This happens everywhere, and I think the most prevalent one, and kind of why I wanted to make this video, is Lies of P. Lies of P was in for 1.5 years and just went out a while ago, like a few months ago, I think. Yeah, about March 15th, 2025. About 3 months ago, we're coming up on 4. It left. It left the service. And then you want to know what happened? Like 2 months later, we got the DLC. So now what you have is people who play Lies of P through Game Pass want to play the DLC, and they can't. Or they technically can, but they then have to go and buy the whole game. And then the DLC on top of that, of course. And at the perfect time, hey, there's a DLC coming out. Why don't you also check out Lies of P? It's not in the service for people to check out. Now, forgive me if I am wrong. I don't use Game Pass, as I think I've stated a few times. But I would assume DLC either does not get included on the Game Pass version of the game, or you would still have to pay for the DLC, but you could still get the base game for free through Game Pass. And again, of course, you could always just go buy the full game. But that's part of the thing that Game Pass is trying to, I guess, steer away from, is you not having to buy the full game. So when you have stuff that you have played or you want to play get taken out of the service, and then, oh, I have to go buy the game. Sure, you might not have gotten the service for just that one game, but that's like another chink off the armor, if you kind of get what I mean. And now, like, what if I want to play it at a later date? Like, you see the library behind me. There's 3 more shelves up there. There's another one over there with 3 more shelves. I got a lot of games there. I have not played most of those games. I'd say, being generous, I've only played maybe 10% of those games. Max. I've probably played less than that. Because, I have a life, and I like going outside, touching grass. I have a job, I have shit to do. I don't live in my mom's basement with Cheeto dust all over my titties. Or, maybe I just play PlayStation, so I'm just, that much better. I'm kidding. But, like, I am a normal human being. I am a college student, and especially during the summer, I have work and other stuff that I have to do. I'm also trying to do content creation and stuff. And I also have other hobbies as well. Like, I like watching anime, I like reading, I like listening to music, I like just hanging out, going out with friends, I like cooking. Stuff that, takes me away from gaming, and I can't do that all the time. So sometimes I have to put a game down and come back to it later. Like, I'm doing that with Final Fantasy IV. I've done that with The Witcher right now. I'm doing that with Elden Ring. I have to put it down, and I'll come back to it later. Maybe there's another game I really want to play right now. I want to go play that right now, and I'll come back to this later. But with Game Pass, I don't really have that security of, oh, I can always come back to it later, because I kind of have this undisclosed time frame on when I can actually play these games. At least when it comes to third party. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but all first party games, at least as of now, are still on the service permanently. That could possibly change in the future. I honestly doubt that it would, because it's Microsoft, so they don't even have to pay for licensing. But there is always a non-zero chance. But yeah, at least first party stuff and, like, Xbox exclusive, I guess you can say, will always stay on Game Pass. But like I said, with this third-party stuff, I might only have a year, and maybe I'm playing a bunch of other games that I would like to get through before I start this game. I'm also somebody that, likes to finish the games that I play. So if I'm doing that, and I, live my life, I'm only maybe able to play for 2-3 hours a day, maybe every other day. I'm a little bit more lucky right now during the summer, because I also get to stream these games, so I'm going through a lot of these right now. But during school, when I have work, I don't have all the time in the world to do that. So I'm paying for a service that I might not really be playing enough to actually get the value out of. And that's where I kind of like physical, and even at this point, digital more. Because while, yes, it is more expensive. Let's say you wanted to get a brand new game, $60 or $70 now. Let's say it's a brand new AAA game. $70, and that's going to be about 3.5 months worth of Game Pass right there. So if it's something that's coming day one onto Game Pass, I could essentially save 3.5 months worth of Game Pass by just playing it through Game Pass and not buying the game. But then, what if you don't play the game day one? But what if it's a game you really like, but like I said, you're playing other games? and you want to finish those before you start this one. At least personally, I might not touch that game for a while. And while that's even a problem with me physically, like I buy and pre-order some games and I don't play them right away. Like I bought Doom the Dark Ages. I was going to do it on stream. I ended up not doing it, and I haven't even touched the game since. I haven't played it. I got Black Ops 6. I got Sonic X Shadow Generations. I got Assassin's Creed Shadows. I haven't touched those, unfortunately. But I have them physically. So while yes, I paid for them now and, you know, at the most expensive price, unfortunately. I never said I was the smartest with money. But I now own those. As long as these servers are up for some of these, I can still go back and re-download it to the systems. I can still go back and replay them whenever I want. And I don't exactly have a ticking clock, I guess you can say. Or at least I don't have as limited of one, where some of these games might only be on Game Pass for 1, 2, 3 years. These games are probably going to last me 10, 15, 20, probably more. We'll see. It depends. You know, game key discs are a thing. I just needed to mention that again, that we've been having this problem for 5 years now. I hope you understand that. But essentially, as long as the servers are still up, I can still go back and replay these games. And I can push it off till later down the line if I want to. And with Game Pass, I just don't really have that option. Or at least the, I guess you could say, vastness of that option. And the next thing here is that even after it leaves the service, let's assume you played it like Lies of P. Let's say you played a game on there. You have to then buy the game through Xbox if you want to keep your save data. You can't buy it on PlayStation, you can't go buy it on PC, and if it's, let's just say it is on Nintendo, you can't go buy it on the Switch. If you want your save data to transfer, you have to buy it through Xbox. Now, there is technically a way where if you have the PC Game Pass and you have the saves in there, you can use a hex editor to go do that, but like, why the fuck would I want to actually do that? So when it leaves, I'm going to have to buy the game anyway. And like I said earlier, I'm just really not an Xbox guy. If I can get the game on PlayStation, I would rather get it on there. So even if I did have Game Pass and I played games through Xbox Game Pass, once it leaves the service, if I want to play it again, I would have to rebuy it on Xbox, and I would rather buy it on PlayStation. And now the last point I have here is one that I have already mentioned, and while it is technically not specific to Xbox Game Pass, you know, this is something about an online service, PS Plus, NSO, you can even say Steam, possibly. What happens when the service shuts down? Because, look, Xbox, it's been out for 8 years now. It's been out for about 7 or 8 years, however long, and I don't really see it, you know, ever going down anytime soon. I don't see them stopping Xbox Game Pass anytime soon. I only see it going up. But all things do come to an end. And when is that point? Like, looking at it from a larger perspective, gaming has only been a thing for, what, 30, 40 years now? A lot of us have grew up with gaming. I myself am 20 years old, and I got put smack dab in the middle of gaming. What is gaming going to look like when I'm 50 or 60? And you can absolutely say, I might not even be gaming at that point. Hell, I might be dead at that point. You know, heat death the universe and shit. But what does it look like in 20 years? What does it look like in 30 years? 40, 50? What does it look like then? Do we still have Game Pass? Is it better or is it worse? Is it more expensive? Is it cheaper? What's the landscape for that going to look like? So then even the games that are more than likely never going to leave the service, like the Xbox first-party games and even some of those second-party games, what happens when the service goes down? We lose them. And like I said, that's something that is a bit more industry-wide, and that's also the same thing with stuff like digital, where, you know, once these servers shut down, can we even re-download our digital games with these game key cards and key discs? What about those, since we have to download those as well? When the servers shut down, do those get bricked? You know, luckily for right now, I don't believe that is something we have to worry about. That's something at the very least 10 years down the road, like I said, at the very, very least. But it's a possibility, and it is likely to happen at some point in the future. Now, the last point I have here, that is not in the script. I don't really like how Game Pass is kind of starting to be marketed as like the fallback plan for gamers when it comes to budgetary reasons. Like earlier this month, The Outer Worlds 2 got announced that it is going to be $80. Absolutely fucking disgusting. I don't agree with it, but I can at least understand Mario Kart World being $80. That's Mario Kart. That's got years of shit behind it. It's like I shouldn't say like GTA, but it's got that, like GTA is like the name brand thing. Mario Kart's like a name brand thing. The Outer Worlds 2, unless they have spent like $1 billion on the game, has, in my opinion, no reason to be $80. Now, it is also coming out to Game Pass day one. So how I kind of see the whole situation is, oh, we're going to put this at a higher price. We're basically going to price people out. But then they're going to see this cheaper option and they're going to say, ooh, that's $80 over there. But it's only $20 a month if I do it here. And I can probably beat that within a month. That might be worth it. That might be worth it. And I don't really like that. Because again, it's pushing out ownership, but then it's just inflating their regular prices for people who don't do Game Pass. What if you're somebody that's wanting to get this on the PS5? What if you're somebody that wants to get this on PC and you don't use Xbox Game Pass for whatever reason? What if the game ends up maybe coming to the Nintendo Switch too and you can get it on there, but it's at that $80 price point and you can't get Xbox Game Pass? You're essentially forcing people to go to your service if they want to play the game for that cheaper price, which it is, business. It is a bit of a smart business decision. It can push people to buy your console so that they can get it for a little bit cheaper. It pushes people to your service, of course. But again, it's kind of like pricing everybody else out a little bit. I fixed the hair. It's the same thing that I kind of believe Nintendo did with Mario Kart, where they put that game at $80, which it is the only Switch 2 game at $80. I'm sorry, I just need to say that. But they put it at $80, but then they said, oh, but by the way, you don't have to pay the $80. You can buy the bundle for it, which is only $50. It's $30 cheaper, but you get it digitally. So again, people hear that and they say, oh my God, Mario Kart's $80. Ew, disgusting. Oh, but it's only $50 here. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. When it could have initially just been like $60, maybe $70 for Mario Kart. So what's even funnier about this, and what kind of reinforces my point here, is that a report came out a day or two ago that this game will not be coming with any physical releases for the Xbox Series X and S. It will just be a code in the box, which means not only is this more expensive than it should be, but you're not even going to be able to own the game in any way. This is worse than Mario Kart World, because you have the inflated price, and then you don't even get to own the game. At least Mario Kart's on an actual key card, or not a key card, sorry, a game card. So you can't own this game at all for $80, or you can get Game Pass for it, which, for fucking Outer Worlds? Really? All in all, with this whole video and why I just don't vibe with Game Pass is really boiling it down to two things. I don't like that I really don't have that much ownership over it, and the fact that I might not even really get to finish the games that I want, or at least I can't go back to some of the games that I would want to play with the service. Again, as you can see behind me, ownership is a huge thing with me, and owning your games. I want to own my games. I don't like that game key cards are a thing. I don't like that game key discs are a thing. Unfortunately, that is just something that the industry is doing right now. But I like owning my games and all of the content on there. And unfortunately, $20 a month, or I guess you could say $15 a month, is not good enough for me to cast that idea to the side and, never look back. Now, this is not to say that Game Pass is a bad thing. Again, if you are somebody that is playing games a lot, if gaming is, maybe your whole thing, like you're doing content creation on it or something else where just gaming is your whole thing, playing a bunch of different games and they're all on Game Pass, then that can work for you. Maybe you're a kid or a teenager who can't really convince your parents to go buy a bunch of new games for you every time they come out. Game Pass would make sense. Game Pass would make sense. Again, Game Pass works for people. I'm not saying Game Pass is absolutely terrible. But for me, my ideas, how I like to collect games and play games, it does not work out for me. I don't know how the future goes. Maybe I end up getting piss poor broke and I'm not able to exactly pay for new games. And I'm like, ooh, you know what? The service is only, maybe it drops down to $10 a month. And I'm like, you know what? That makes sense to do that. I don't know. There's always a possibility. But right now, I just can't get on. I can't get on board with it. But what do you guys think? If you're a Game Pass player, is there something that I might not know about Game Pass that could be that, oh, drive it home, I need to get this service now? Is there something that might make it at least seem a bit cooler to me? Or what do you think? What do you think? If you're somebody who doesn't have Game Pass, do you agree with what I say? Are there other reasons you don't really want to get the service? Maybe it's just because you don't have an Xbox or a PC, so obviously you can't use it then. But what are some of your reasons for maybe not getting it? And while I am pretty open-minded, you know, depending on circumstances, I don't mind changing my fucking stances on some of this stuff. I don't know if I would ever switch over to Game Pass right now. I don't, like I said, unless I get like piss poor broke, I lose like the few $1,000s I have to my name tomorrow. I don't think I would ever go over to Game Pass. But anyways, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys being here. If you liked, please like. If you didn't, fuck you. And if you want to see more of me, hit that subscribe button. I'm not going to complain about that. I'll give you a little kiss on the cheek. Lips were dry, so I had to get some chapstick to be ready. All right, come here, big boy. Good job, good job. And I mentioned this earlier, but I am also streaming a lot right now. It is summer and I don't got much else to do, so I said, fuck it, let's stream. You guys can check me out here on the main channel on YouTube. You can go over to my Twitch, my Kick, or my TikTok. I'm streaming all over there. The links will be in the description down below. We just got finished playing Death Stranding 1, and this will hopefully be going up on Monday, where we are going to be starting Detroit Become Human before going into Death Stranding 2 later in the week. And past that, we're also going to be playing stuff like Donkey Kong Bonanza, Shadow Labyrinth. I want to do a run through of Shadow of the Colossus, Ghost of Tsushima. I want to try and get GTA 5 in there. I want to try and fit as much as I can because I'm very excited and have a lot of games I really want to play. So like I said, if you're interested, links are down below. And those streams will be happening 9 a.m. on weekdays until whenever the fuck I feel like it. Normally it's around like 4 p.m. But if you are not able to make it to the streams for whatever reason, do not worry at all. There is a VOD channel down below where you can go check those out. I upload the entirety of my streams over there. So if you want, you can go watch those as well. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you being here. Peace out. I love you guys. Shadow clones on me like a dream.